DHA Laboratory is here with Dan Garner today. Dan Garner is one of the most trusted names in high performance coaching and functional medicine. He is the director of health and performance at Vitality, and he's worked with elite athletes across the UFC, NFL, MLB, and Olympic levels, and probably sports I'm forgetting about. What sets him apart is his clinical precision. He has mastered the art of building targeted blood panels that decode what the body needs, optimizes performance, recovery, and resilience. He is building world-class MMA fighters and transforming the everyday high performer, which is why today we are talking about precision blood work for high performers, designing panels for athletes, actors, and CEOs. Everybody, a round of applause, please help me welcome Dan Garner. Dan,
All
welcome to
right.
DHA's webinar series. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm excited to get going here.
Woo, me too. Take it away.
Dan Garner here. Thank you so much for showing up and giving me your time here today. I know that it's Friday. I know that it's the middle of the day. At least it's the middle of the day for myself, and that time is very valuable. I know all of us are crazy busy all of the time. It seems like anybody I'm talking to is either busy or exhausted or both. So anytime somebody gives me the most precious resource in the world, which is their time, I'm unbelievably grateful. So honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being here and allowing me to do what I love for a living. What I'll be talking about today, what I've titled this is Beyond Normal, Interpreting Labs for Human Performance. Okay? Getting into this thing, the future of health, it's not just longevity, it is performance. This is the real huge talk of the industry at the moment is longevity, and rightfully so. Right, everybody's talking about living longer, everybody's talking about having more quality years, everybody's talking about health span. Like, you do not have to take many steps in a single direction for somebody to be talking about some form of that, right? That the industry has never been more crazy about this kind of stuff, and that's a good thing. However, I am absolutely 100% in my conviction that the future is actually performance. It's not longevity. And here's why I say that. When you look at a reference range, we're all familiar with labs here. I'm speaking with my people, I'm speaking with my community, so I can get right into it. When you look at a normal reference range on a lab, that reference range is phenomenal at detecting infection and disease, and that has been recognized. That's been called out by the community, and a lot of people want more than just to be identified as to when they have an infection or a disease. So then a bunch of brilliant scientists and a bunch of amazing companies have come together and they've created longevity reference ranges. So what they've done based on lots of data is they have created tighter reference ranges associated to longevity. Now, my problem with that should be your problem with that as well. And that is the only way to test whether or not a longevity reference range works is whether or not you die. That is the only way that nobody seems to be talking about on whether or not that's actually working. So, what does that look like in the real world? Okay, well, let's imagine your cholesterol value. All right. You have a normal reference range and then you have a longevity reference range. Let's say you didn't end up in the longevity specific range, but you did end up in the normal range. All right. So, what would happen in an organization is that you would end up normal, but not optimal. So, then this organization would give you certain recommendations in order to move from normal to optimal with respect to longevity. My problem with that is twofold. Number one, you're only going to know if that works whether or not if you die. You're literally doing recommendations and then crossing your fingers and hoping things work out. Number two, most people, most of the time, are doing this type of stuff. Why? Because they want to feel better. They want to feel better. It's not a number they're chasing, it's a feeling that they want to experience. Enter performance ranges. Okay. This is something that you can measure is actually working in real time because physically and cognitively, you will be feeling better in real time. Anytime I say performance in this lecture, I really just want you to flip that with feeling better because that's exactly what it is. To perform better in my everyday life is to feel better in my everyday life. So you can imagine this person having this normal value and then dropping it 50 points into a longevity range. Well, their subjective experience of life may have not changed. They may still have brain fog. They may still have low sex drive. They may still have a difficulty building muscle and dropping body fat. They may still have GI issues. They may still have stress look, this person, they've achieved this numerical result, but do you want to be that person? The answer is no, and that is the birth, that is the entry of performance ranges. This is the range that you want to get into in order to actually change your subjective experience of life. And let me tell you something, that's what makes blood work fun again. It's no longer a number that you're chasing. It's a feeling that you're going to experience. That is performing better, that is living better. That is moving from normal to longevity based to performance based. Now, why am I saying the future of health isn't just longevity, it's also performance? Because longevity happens as a byproduct of performance, everybody. That happens as a byproduct of performance. That's why I think, honestly, it is my full and complete belief that 5 years from now, that is what everyone else will be saying as well. Because you know what happens when you're feeling better and performing better? You're more likely to exercise. You're more likely to have social connections. You're more likely to have increased confidence. You're more likely to be in a better mood. You're more likely to get sunlight. You're more likely to do all of the things that are supposed to be connected to longevity. But you did it you did it from step one. You didn't do it from step 10. You did it from step one. You live longer as a byproduct of performing better. And I know how to get this job done because I've been doing this for a very, very, very long time. All right. I have worked with athletes in actually 15 different professional sports. I've worked with billionaire CEOs. I have gotten Marvel superheroes ready for movies. And when I say I want yeah, that I or that the goal should be to improve the subjective experience of one's life, to perform better, that's what people paid me to do. Nobody came to me and said, "Hey, can I get a blood test?" Like that's like the thing that sounds a little bit weird. I'm known as the blood test expert now, but I never got paid to do blood. I got paid to get results. Bloodwork was just the best vehicle possible in order to move from A to B. It was the best vehicle possible to get results. And that's why I've had Super Bowl winners, I've had Formula One drivers, I've had all of these people come to me in order to get results. And it was all driven by blood work. It was all driven more specifically by performance focused blood work. I've also worked with many people that I can't even talk about. I've worked with many royal family members. I've worked with people in Secret Service. There's many people I cannot talk about. So when I say that I've been around the block, when I say that I've worked with thousands of people that are top one percenters, this is all I've done for the last 15 years. I have been at the absolute tip of the spear of high performance analysis and translating that objective information into real life results. And that was like my unbiased approach because when I'm working with these people, they're very type A, they need to get the job done. A UFC fighter, for example, they may only ever get one title shot. I am human and my fighter is human. That means we both have a bias. And me as a coach, I needed to create an entire system that was built on removing biases. I needed to because I am susceptible to being excited about the last certification I did, the last seminar I went to, the last research paper or textbook I read, whatever. I'm susceptible to wanting to apply new things to situations based on my own excitement and bias. And my clients the same way. They're very susceptible to a new podcast they heard or a superstition that they may have. Bloodwork has this beautiful way of not giving a shit what you think about the result. The result is going to be the result is going to be the result, and you are able to program accordingly in an unbiased way and take it to the next level beyond health, beyond longevity, and all the way into performance. So what's the agenda? I'm going to go over the problem with normal, but I'm going to try to move a little quickly through that. If you haven't noticed, I talk fast and I talk a lot. So I'll try to move quickly through that because I feel like you guys already get it. I feel like everybody knows normal sucks, but I'm going to try to put a different spin on it. I want to talk about how performance ranges are developed because I think this is critical, not just for myself and the people I work with. I think this is critical for the industry as a whole moving forward. This is something that's very important to me. It's something that's very near and dear to my heart to leave a mark. I'm very big fan of leaving a place better than where you found it, and I think that this type of legacy approach to blood work is something that will really help people live better lives. And ultimately, that's what I think people are actually after when they get blood work. It's not number, it's a feeling. Then we're going to talk about translating the data into real results, which is a lot more simple than people think. All right. What's the problem with normal? Well, the problem is who the normal range represents, what the normal range represents, and how the normal range is represented. Okay, so who does it represent? You guys know this stuff. It literally represents 95% of the bell curve of a generally unwell population. Okay, I know I don't know about your guys' algorithm, but my algorithm's pretty fit. I've got like athletes and people I work with and like my community. Like to follow me, I'm not an easy follow. It's like very scientific. It's very performance based. So like I'm basically in an echo chamber of fit people, but I know statistically speaking, we have a very, very unwell population. We really do. And we're looking at creating normal ranges around bell curves. So literally, you've got this 95%. We're going to knock 2.5% off of each side, and there's our reference range. This is where we're just going to kind of throw everybody into. And this is an unwell population. Not only statistically speaking are they unwell, but the people who are likely to get labs are also unwell because these people are actually seeking health solutions. So you imagine it's an unwell database, even if they weren't doing blood work, but then it's like even more unwell because they're interested in blood work because they are that unwell. All right. We can't make decisions based off of a 95% bell curve in a performance lens. Maybe I should back up 1 second here. Are normal ranges bad? No, they're not. They save lives every single day. What I am here to say is that we can't treat them like they're performance ranges. These are completely different disciplines to me, and both disciplines should have massive respect for each other. They are completely different, and they should refer out to each other. Hey, if you're sick, go this way. Hey, if you want to live a better life, go this way. They're different disciplines and both deserve respect. All right. So that is really what the bell curve is all about. Who do they represent in another way that doesn't really work? Well, you literally the reference range will have variation due to location, database, or equipment. Like there's a joke in functional medicine. I'm a functional medicine practitioner. By the way, maybe I should have introduced myself a little bit better, but I feel like talking about myself is a little weird. But I'm a lab analyst, functional medicine practitioner, and several other things as well. But it varies due to location. And there is a joke in the functional medicine world. That's why I kind of got on that little tangent there. The joke in the functional medicine world that if you don't like your thyroid values, just switch over a state. Or if you don't like your thyroid values, just move to another country. Because you're gonna be able to find a reference range that suits you, and then you're gonna feel better about yourself. And this is a pretty good example, right? If you just move your location, for example, USA and Germany is a 36.8% difference, even in the same age group, even with the same unit of measure, even with the same machines. Okay? So this is database. This is basically to me saying like people just looking around with their hands in their pockets, shrugging their shoulders. Like, I don't know. Like maybe you could be more than a third off in your thyroid from one another. And that's that is awful, really, and even in a clinical sense, that doesn't make sense, let alone in trying to optimize one's performance. So it'll vary due to location. It'll vary due to equipment, processing methods are very, very, very different. And then also database. I've scorched databases in the past, specifically in the functional medicine space. One reason why I actually hang my hat on blood work is because of the amount of evidence behind it. Blood work has been around for decades and decades and decades and decades and has a mountain of scientific literature behind it. There's nothing more beneficial, in my opinion, than like a boring 8 by 11 black and white piece of paper with a blood analysis on it. There is a reason why you can get it where I live in Toronto, or you can also get it in LA. You can get it in London, England. You can get it in Moscow. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. A blood chemistry is available everywhere. Why? Because of the scientific validation behind it. It is something you can really be confident about, and that's why I wanted to build my system around it. And that's why the database behind it is robust. But the database in certain functional medicine labs, I've done even presentations on it in the past where it completely contradicts the literature. You can look and in one database, a database just means you're making reference ranges based on how many customers you have, rather than what is actually representative of a high performance physiology, or B, anybody at all that's not your customer. And I've actually identified some functional medicine labs in the past where their estrogen reference range was comparable to that of PCOS. And it was completely and utterly off. I've had testosterone ranges comparable to PCOS compared to non. It's been very bad, but it's been reflective of people in that database. But then they're applying them to everyone as a whole. So you have to be unbelievably careful about this who is representative factor because of the equipment, the location, and the database, and giant percentage differences. Now, we went over who they represent, and honestly, each of these I could go on forever about, but I know you guys get the idea here. How about what they represent? Well, I talked about in the beginning, normal ranges are phenomenal at detecting infection and disease, but they're really not good at detecting how you should live your best life. All right? So, what they represent is really not cohesive with what many people at least come to me for their goal, but they also fail to reflect a symptomatic state. And then in the interest of that symptomatic state, provide preventative measures. So that's why I got this is one of my favorite memes right here. This is fine. This is fine. I'll be fine. This is very representative of somebody going to a provider practitioner and then telling them their symptoms. And then the provider practitioner looks at their labs and goes, "You're fine. All looks normal." And it's like, bro, I'm literally standing here telling you I'm not normal. I am, I gain nothing from lying to you right now. I am seeking help, man. So this is fine. I'll be fine. Because this person is just waiting for something to happen. You're just waiting to get out of the normal range, even though there's early symptomatic detection that could have absolutely been acted upon. And that is something that I also would like to impress upon you, is that listening is as important as the blood analysis in and of itself. If I were creating this algorithm right now, I would absolutely equate symptomatic response to biomarker analysis. If I get biomarkers flagging in certain directions, I am absolutely going to apply the same amount of algorithmic weight to what that person is saying to me so that I can actually combine the two to have more confidence in my decision. Because if I just have a certain biomarker number, that can be high or low due to many biological variations. That can be off due to analytical variations. That can be off due to acute phase reactants, whether negative or positive. That could be off because of many reasons, right? So you need to combine that with symptomatic analysis. But that's a phenomenal programming tool, and it's one that simply just doesn't detect symptomatic states within the normal range, even though you can be way outside of a performance range at that point. Gone over who and what. Now, how about how? How they represent the normal range is just survivability versus performance. It's like normal reference range, are you gonna live? Performance reference range, how well are you gonna freaking live? Right? So, what's a phenomenal example of this? Well, if you do an article on testosterone, everybody's interested in it right now. You're gonna get massive engagement. Everybody is all about hormones, especially testosterone at the moment. So, I thought it would be a good example to use right now. All right, let's look at survivability versus performance based. Look at these thresholds. Okay? Increased systemic inflammation, decline in morning erections, erectile dysfunction, arterial hardening, arterial plaque buildup, weight gain, depression, brain fog, elevated risk, all-cause mortality, higher likelihood of venous leakage, loss of motivation and drive, bigger, increased risk of metabolic syndrome. Okay, you guys, more than half of these are within the normal reference range. All right. This is not a thriving person at all. This is not like you look at the average reference range for testosterone. Again, if you don't like your testosterone, move countries or move states, or change databases. That would be a funny one. You do a database testosterone if you're an NFL player, or a database testosterone somewhere else. But the normal range is going to be from 300 to 900 ish. Do you think the guy at 310 feels as good as the guy at 890? It's not even close. It's not even close. Like a lot of people forget, testosterone was originally prescribed as an antidepressant. Yeah, this is something that makes you feel better emotionally, despite a lot of the completely busted myths surrounding rage. Of course, that can happen at very high levels, but within the normal physiologic range, being within a higher performance zone is ideal for mood. It's ideal for anabolism. It's ideal for recovery. It's ideal for cardiovascular health, as you can clearly see here. Basically, just flip these all in reverse. I shouldn't have even provided examples. Flip these all in reverse. And that's what you're going to get from vitality, right? That's why my company is called Vitality. I don't think that you should just be alive. I think you should be living with vitality. Those are the people who we actually set goals. That's who we want to be. And this is how performance ranges should be represented and not really what a normal range should ever be. All right. So my problem with normal, it's pretty it's pretty well agreed upon and very well structured and substantiated. My problem with normal is who they represent, what they represent, and how they represent. So I scratched that and I wanted to make performance ranges because I absolutely believe that performance ranges are the future. So now, moving on to agenda item number two, how are performance ranges developed? So this is going to be crazy, right? We had a huge problem with the normal ranges in what, who, and how. So when you build performance ranges, you want to address who, what, and how. Isn't that absolutely astonishing? We just do the exact same thing in reverse. Many people can massively overcomplicate this whole thing, but really, you want it to reflect the equal and opposite of the problems that you originally identified. Okay? So, who performance ranges, who they represent, first of all, our database. Co-founder Dr. Andy Galpin and him and I have co-founded three companies. Vitality being the Bloodwork monster that has become today, and our database. We've been in this game for years. We've worked with thousands of top performers. So when you want to talk about people who are in the 1%, you want to talk about, and I'm not talking about 1% in terms of just like muscle. I'm talking 1%ers. So you guys saw that list before. We're talking CEOs, we're talking actors, we're talking athletes of all different sport types. We're talking men and women. We're talking all of these different, we are talking cognition and physical at its peak. That's the database you want to compare yourself against. Does it mean that you are a 1%er? Does it disqualify you from looking at that list and thinking, wow, that's awesome? No. That's like a huge mistake that a lot of people make. They're like, well, I'm not a 1%er. Why would I care about that list? Because that should still be the North Star. That should absolutely still, why would that not be your North Star? You should still absolutely strive to look at that and be like, okay, that's what's possible in my gender, in my age group. Why would I not want to know that number? That should always be the North Star, no matter what your goal is. I don't care what your goal is. I've worked with a lot of people, again, functional medicine practitioner. People have come to me just to get rid of their migraines. People have come to me just to solve their constipation. People have come to me to get rid of psoriasis or skin issues that they've had. I'm still pinning them up against the best in the world. That they have come into me, and I am putting them into a performance range because I want them to leave my coaching relationship a better person. I want them to leave my protocol a better person, and that's the database that you need. So Dr. Andy Galpin and I, we have a massive, massive database. And also, again, Galpin and I, the scientific literature that we've reviewed is also reflective of who we want it to represent. Okay, everybody in this audience right now, well, this is a different audience, so maybe you guys will give me a gotcha right now. But one thing that I'll do is I'll say, hey guys, who here takes magnesium? And I see a bunch of hands go up. I'm like, all right, so tell me right now, what's your RBC magnesium status? And everybody's hand goes down. That's because they're flying blind. One of the largest and most beneficial factors of doing blood work is not flying blind. That's like one of the most beneficial things you could ever do. Because, like, you're not flying blind in a few ways, right? Number one, you know where you are, which is a part of flying. Number two, You know what your destination should be, which is the performance range, which is also a part of flying, right? You want to know where you are. You want to know where your destination is going to be. And number three, you want to know if your supplement's even working. You want to, like, there's a lot of crappy supplements out there. If you are hammering magnesium and it's not going up, then you may have a supplement quality problem. Okay. But you want to know where you are. You want to know where you want to be. So when you look at the scientific literature, you're going to see a lot of situations like this. Okay. Less than four, deficiency zones, stress, anxiety, muscle cramps, fatigue, low stress tolerance. Between 4 and 5.5, right? So this is where this is normal range. Everyone's solid, right? This is where you're fine. House is burning down, right? This is you're not deficient, but you're not in a good place. So you're irritable, you got fatigue, you got tension. You might notice some muscle twitching. You're gonna have some difficulty sleeping. You're better than deficient, but that's not a very high bar to set. Between 5.5 to 6, this is considered suboptimal, but this is acceptable. 5.5 and 6 is like where I start to like, and where you would start to see good benefits start to take place, right? This is where better sleep quality, less muscle soreness, and improved stress response begins to take place. Between 6 and 6.8, this is a performance zone. Optimal stress resilience, excellent recovery from physical exertion, and a very high level of mental clarity. Beyond 6.8, this is just diminishing returns, right? Biology, just like that bell curve I showed you earlier about how they make reference ranges, biology is like that with supplements and biomarkers for that matter. It's like the Goldilocks effect. Like too little is not good. The sweet spot in the middle is fantastic before you get to too much and it becomes not good again. That is true for everything in life. That is true for all supplements, all biomarkers, all everything. There's always a beautiful Goldilocks spot that you want to be at, and that's 6 to 6.8 for magnesium. This is exactly where you want to be. And why do you want to be there? Because I said so, and because the scientific literature says so, and because who you want to be says so. Energy production, muscle function, nervous system function, cardiovascular health, inflammation management, bone health, blood sugar control, sleep quality, stress resilience, mood stability. All right. Hey, are all these things performance benefits? Yeah. Are all these things very relevant to the one percenter? Oh, yeah. Are all these things relevant to everybody? Yes. Okay. Everybody can get their magnesium to a performance zone, but they're not doing it. And when they do, they'll never turn back. Okay. It's another thing about performance ranges that makes blood work sticky. Like in the business world, they say it's sticky. It increases the lifetime value of your customer because they're no longer doing blood work to see what number they're at once a year. They're doing blood work to maintain how good they're feeling. All right. It's not the number you're after. It's that feeling that you never want to go away. And this is a short list from one marker. Okay, one thing I've said a lot in the past to the coaches that I've mentored is lab work makes 1 plus 1 equal 10. Because can you imagine if someone was low in magnesium and then they get 1 plus 1 equals 10 right here? Okay. And if they're here, so let's just do this in real time. Yeah, I've never done this before. So they've got, okay, stress, anxiety, muscle cramps, fatigue, low stress tolerance. I'm glad I'm doing this right now live. So look, muscle cramps, someone might just give this guy like sodium, potassium, right? Get some electrolytes in you and increase your water. Maybe your cramps will go away. Maybe some taurine. Taurine's actually very advanced to reduce your cramps. Now check this out. Stress, anxiety. Maybe we'll get him to meditate and do some breath work. And then fatigue, well, maybe we won't need to touch that because once he's hydrated and once he does some yoga and breath work and meditation, his fatigue will go away. Okay? Wrong. This man didn't have magnesium. So when you're flying blind, those are the people that I'm heartbroken for, by the way. When you're like doing the wrong program really well. It's like I'm in Canada and I want to go to Florida. No matter how freaking fast I run north, I'm not going to make it to Florida. And those people, it does break my heart. Those people that work so hard on the wrong target because you're just focusing on the wrong thing and you can easily go in the wrong direction because these symptoms, they're kind of general, but they're not when 1 plus 1 equals 10. All right. So that's who they represent, right? Talked about database and I talked about scientific literature database. But now what they represent. Well, let's just play that game again, right? Because we got physical performance, cognitive performance, and physiologic constraint. I'm just going to combine A and B, physical and cognitive, with another game. Okay. How many of you take omega 3? Probably a lot of you. Hey, how many of you are like really worried about if it gets rancid before it goes to you? How many of you got questions on that? A lot of you talk about rancidity. Sorry, I've got a golden retriever who just keeps biting my foot right now. There's a lot of people taking omega-3 daily, literally millions of people, arguably hundreds of millions taking omega-3. They've got no freaking idea what their omega-3 index is. Absolutely no idea. They don't know where they are. They don't know where their target is. And they don't know if their supplement is even working. And if it is, maybe they're on too low of a dose, right? Maybe they need to adjust the dose. That's a fourth thing. It allows you to individualize the process because you move from 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, and 8 to 11. This is an unbelievable point where you can get someone an omega-3. Omega-3 is one where, like, by the way, I don't have supplementized. I don't care what supplement you go with here. Omega-3 is one that I can literally sound like an infomercial salesman about. I don't care if you get it from a high quality supplement or salmon or algae, whatever floats your boat. It is a phenomenal tool to increase your entire life quality. Increase oxygen uptake, improved HRV, reduced muscle damage, cardiovascular health, inflammation management, immune support, improved mood, increased recovery rate, joint lubrication, and reduced blood pressure. Okay. Omega-3 status. Okay. Huge. So when we're talking about what it represents, it's representing physical and cognitive performance at the exact same time. But then also when performance ranges and what they represent, we also want them to represent a physiologic constraint analysis. One thing that you learn as a coach, and not really as a scientist. I've published scientific papers as well. You'll find me in PubMed. But one thing that you'll only learn being a coach is you'll see that many people, they don't necessarily do things to earn performance as much as they do things to give it away. That's the truth. In almost all cases, you don't need to add for more performance. You need to just identify what's the constraint holding you back. Many of us, we have that, and the same goes for health. There's not a lot of things that are truly going to improve your health that are going to overcome the ways in which you give it away. You give it away with stress. You give it away with poor sleep. You give it away with alcohol. You give it away with not dealing with unresolved issues. You give it away with dietary habits. You give it away with a lot of, look, we give away way more than we can do. And that's why you want a physiologic constraint analysis. And that's what Bloodwork offers as well. There's a picture of the dashboard at Vitality. And this is 13 function areas looking at sleep, micronutrients, cardiovascular, cell health, energy, resilience, stress, inflammation, toxic load, hydration, hormone profile, brain chemistry, gut health. I'm looking at these to identify a constraint because your system is only ever going to perform to the degree that it is constrained. That is a truth in coaching. You will only ever perform to the degree that it is constrained. And you need to look at the organ status and the functioning network status of the body to be able to identify the constraint and remove it so that the system can perform to the next level. And blood work is like very unique in that it gives you a full system view of physiology. Like stool analysis. Stool analysis is very popular and it's very valuable. Okay. I run stool analysis on people. I have a bunch in the past, but a stool, its value is quite localized to the gastrointestinal tract, right? Whereas bloodwork's value is localized to any organ system that requires a blood supply, which is all of them. And that's why you get brain markers, liver markers, hormone markers, micronutrient, gut. You get everything in the blood, which allows you to do this full system physiologic constraint analysis. All right. Now, we've gone over the who and the what. How performance ranges should be represented? Well, you should be able to identify early subclinical detection patterns, and then you have solution focus for results. Okay, you can't say that you improve performance unless you actually program based off the biomarkers. I don't care about your data if you're not doing anything with it. All right, and since we care about symptoms as much as biomarkers, we need to be able to detect these things. So when we're looking at early subclinical detection patterns, here's a few from the from the Vitality database. Okay, bone injury risk, increased alkaline phosphatase, increased phosphorus, reduced vitamin D. Okay, this puts somebody. You see this pattern; they're at an increased risk of a bone injury. Okay, overtraining risk. Increased cortisol, reduced DHEA, increased C-reactive protein, increased creatine kinase. But then overtrained, you see the exact same thing, but now with reduced T3 and reduced total white blood cells. Okay, bone injury risk, overtraining risk, and overtrained. You guys, you're looking at someone's career. Like, I'm not joking when I say that. You think it can't end a career if someone breaks a bone? Lots of times they never come back the same. And these are things that you can detect in advance before the issue actually becomes a problem. Overtraining risk. This is being overtrained or in that risk category. That also puts you at a major risk for injury because when you're overtrained, you're fatigued. When you have fatigue, you're not as technically efficient. When you're not as technically efficient, you run into issues, especially at high velocity. You can absolutely get injured. And then when you're actually overtrained, well, now you're not even adapting from your training. So the training is not getting you the ROI that you want it to, plus you're at a higher risk of injury. This is where you're able to actually pick up on symptomology and combine it with biomarker analysis. And this is done through a pattern analysis. So a pattern is not looking at a biomarker, it's not looking at a biomarker ratio, and it's not even looking at a biomarker calculation. A pattern is looking at relationships between markers and then comparing those to the symptoms of the person that you're working with. That is the power of a pattern. A good way to look at it is a biomarker can inform a recommendation, whereas a pattern can inform a protocol. Because a pattern is reflective of a physiologic state, whereas a biomarker is more just a single narrative within the entire physiologic state. It's a single narrative within the entire story, is another way to put it. How performance ranges can be represented as well. This should be solution focused. Like I told you guys, I never got paid to do blood work. I got paid to get results. And the only difference between blood work and results is adherence. That's the truth. Nobody cares. Look, you guys, I'll tell you something pretty cool right now, okay? Over 20,000 calculations are performed on every single blood analysis that's put through Vitality. It's pretty cool, right? There's over 5,000 scientific references within the Vitality engine. That's also cool, right? Eh, it's kind of only cool to you and me. That's the truth. It's kind of only cool to you and me because the people hiring us, they don't really care. What people want is results. And what people want is for you to make it easy. All right. That's why every single biomarker in the Vitality engine, I made it so that you could have a lifestyle, nutrition, or supplement option to solve that biomarker. Meaning, if you don't want to take any supplements at all, like the engine, I literally have it in the engine. You can select a button that says, I don't want any supplements, solve all my problems in nutrition. Okay? The reason why I did this is because I came from the coaching world. I came from, yo, someone paid me to get results. I can't just hand them their lab work and tell them they're fine. I can't hand them their lab work and say, you look normal, bro. Keep training. I can't do that. I need to get results. And that only came with adherence. So then, when I'm able to improve the status of any biomarker on a report with lifestyle, nutrition, or supplement, what I'm doing, it seems like it's like a really big and robust recommendation library, which it is. But what I'm actually just doing is just suffocating the client's excuses. That's between you and me. I'm suffocating excuses and forcing adherence because, oh, you're against supplements? All right, let's go with the food option. Okay, cool. You're on the go all the time and you can't meal prep. Fine, go with the lifestyle option. Oh, you hate meditating? Who cares? Take the pill. Right? You're able to just suffocate excuses, and that's like a really brutal way to get a really good thing. I'm saying suffocation, but ultimately we're improving lives. Right? Welcome to the Dan Garner Show. But this is what we're at. Okay, we want it to be solution focused for results because that's how we actually improve lives. Okay. So when people ask me, okay, how were the performance ranges created? How did they get created? Well, they were reverse engineered from the top 1% performers in the world. Performance outcome focused scientific review. They are backed by over 5,000 scientific references on top of having a 1%er database. They are also detect early detection of biological drift, meaning I know what your symptoms mean before I'm going to see it in your labs, and we need to clinically correlate the two to get you on the right protocol. You get a full system constraint analysis. It needs to have utility as a programming tool, or honestly, it's useless to me. And it needs to match self-reported assessment state because listening is as important as the biomarkers. All right. This is how performance ranges are created, period. End of discussion. How do you translate them into real world results? Well, I'm running out of slide space here, but you guys, I have hundreds of these. Okay, hundreds of these. And go ahead and read any of them. They're all different. They're all like this is the CEO of Precision Nutrition. Worked with him. He's the leanest, fittest, and healthiest he's ever been. The largest nutrition organization in the world, right? Lefton. He works with tons of pro athletes. This small tailored addition has led to consistent HRV improvements. Jill Miller, she's an absolute boss in the world of mobility. She's astonished. She's been in the industry for so long. UFC fighter, professional runner, keeping a runner optimized and recovered. This is a huge thing. Like, this is a team, and they've had breakthroughs using this with their own clients, which is awesome to hear. But I'll show you a cool one because a lot of people don't think this stuff exists, and it does. Jordan Panthen doubled his testosterone naturally following the recommendations from Vitality. Doesn't that like sound fake? You know, and it's kind of like your radar goes up sometimes. It's like, wait, what? I'm gonna make it sound even crazier, right? He's a professional athlete. He's 23 years old. Yet he still doubled his testosterone with us. All right. Why? A big problem for him was actually his DHEA and his C-reactive protein. So his inflammation and then the actual raw material available for him to make testosterone was compromised. So bringing his, this is before and after, by the way, bringing his C-reactive protein from 8.4 to 1, and then bringing his DHEA from 200 to 305, we got rid of what was suffocating his testosterone, which is the inflammation. We improved, this is on a single protocol, by the way. We improved, this is 90 days, improved the raw material that you can even make DHEA from. And then what happened? His free testosterone went from 5.2 to 12.7, and his total testosterone went from 358 to 656. All right? This is a 23-year-old. These are numbers well beyond what's considered biological variation acceptance. Because there's a lot of biomarkers. You actually have to, there's variation that's acceptable. Like it can go up 10, 20, even 50 points. And like the person didn't actually make progress. It's actually known biological variation. This absolutely can happen. There's a great paper by the British Medical Journal, if you ever want to check it out. The great thing that really breaks down all of the biological variation. But this is way outside biological variation. My man is in testosterone. And here's actually the raw data from it, from the DHA labs that, hey, what just happened? From the DHA labs that I got with him. So C-reactive protein, testosterone, before and after, you're seeing here. This is his protocol. Okay. My man needed to recover more, get a box breathing protocol in. Green tea. We actually needed to reduce his vitamin D. His vitamin D was too high. That's another thing too. It's just not just important to know what you need. It's important to know what you don't need. His vitamin D actually was too high. We had to reduce it. Took him off the supplement and had to reduce his food intake of vitamin D too. Prioritizing certain foods and then also getting him on a supplement protocol here. Double testosterone and raw material and reduced inflammation in 3 months for a 23-year-old. A 23-year-old pro fighter was able to adhere to the protocol perfectly. Why? Because he's picking what he wants to do, right? This doesn't have to be crazy, you guys. And there's an answer for pretty much anything that you want. All right. Look at RDW, phenomenal systemic view of micronutrient status in the body. All right. Something super simple I've been telling athletes for years. 3 green and 3 not green. That's my vegetable recommendation. If you have low micronutrient status, I know that sounds basic, but trust me, this solves the problem. You get, all right, I'm gonna tell you something, athlete. I want you to have 3 green vegetables per day and 3 not green vegetables per day. And they get it. It's so simple, but they get it. And then RDW, which is a phenomenal, we can talk about this in Q&A if you want, it was a phenomenal grade of systemic view of micronutrient status. I'm not going to go over these one by one because I've probably gone over in my time. Let me just check here. I'm at 144. Oh yeah, I've gone over my time. I do that. I like to have conversations with myself. But you guys get to see here. There is recommendations for every single biomarker that you could ever want. And there's recommendations, there's over 100 biomarkers in the Vitality Elite panel. There's recommendations to improve all of them. All right. So this is where it's at, you guys. Biomarkers really inform recommendations. Pattern analysis really inform full protocols. How often should you do your blood work if you're in the performance world? Ah, I mean, I would be lying to you if I didn't say once per year wasn't better than none. You still want to at least do it once, right? I'm the coach at the end of the day. Something's better than nothing. Give me anything, my man. So once per year, I generally consider that as a checkup. Four times per year is like the very dedicated athlete, or like the biohacker. You know, some people just love collecting data. The sweet spot for most people is twice per year, though. All right, the sweet spot's like you're in a real sweet spot for performance focus and preventative health if you are twice per year cadence and honestly convenience. All right, once per year, better than nothing, but not really enough. Four times per year, truly optimal, but like you got to really be in the game for that. Twice per year is a pretty sweet spot to be in where you're taking care of yourself in from all angles. Now, I do want to point out though, do it at the same time and then compare yourself year to year. This is something that's like such a basic thing that a lot of people seem to miss. It's like imagine you're working with a team, all right? And then you do blood work every in season, and then you don't keep comparing from in season to in season. You could be like, hey, every single off season, our vitamin D levels start going down 3 months in, and then they look good in the in season. Every single off season, our inflammation levels start going up in phase five of training, but they're totally fine in phase three. Like you guys do it at the same time so that you can prevent problems before they happen. That's how you maintain performance. That's also how you offset injury risk. Don't allow things to become problems. It's almost just like, so you know how like the normal reference range it detects infection and disease. You got to think about the performance reference range, like detecting decreases in performance and increased injury risk. Right? You don't want to touch those barriers. So then keep comparing year to year so that you can have insights to look back on and prevent so that you don't continuously run into. I can't believe almost everybody I talk to doesn't do this. But I made the system do this automatically. And honestly, we are your easy button. If you are interested in doing any kind of performance blood work, I'm not a tech person. I'm really not. I needed this thing to be hyper, hyper, hyper easy for me. So what I created at Vitality is for practitioners. You have your admin dashboard. You have all of your clients. You can order the blood work right from our dashboard, and you get everything you need. I would actually recommend you guys go to our YouTube channel. I'll give you the link at the end of the presentation. I've got walkthroughs of the client portal. I've got walkthroughs also of the practitioner portal because we've got a direct-to-consumer option, but we also have a business-to-business option. This is the business-to-business platform, so I'm assuming DHA is very heavy practitioner-focused, and you essentially have all of your people what their vitality score was, which is basically the combination of all of those functional areas that I was showing you previously. What their goal, the top functional goal is, the top performance, what blood work plan they're on, and then what their plan status is, right? What I basically did with this is made it impossible to screw it up. Yeah, when you're a really busy coach or a busy practitioner, you can forget. You can forget if people have got their blood draw done. You can forget if they've got their questionnaire done. You can forget if they've been emailed. You can forget if their phlebotomy appointment's been booked. Like the system just does it all for you. So you're able to just kind of log in and see where everyone's at. And that is like the biggest weight of the world off of me. Like I didn't realize like I love to do what I do for a living, but I did not love the administrative part of it. So when I was able to get rid of the administrative part of it by just an automated dashboard like Vitality has now, I was able to just do more of what I love, which is like the best thing possible. And we can talk, I don't want to talk too much about this, but you guys get the idea. It's completely done for you. It's the easy button. This is your practitioner view, and then this is what the client sees or you would see. I really recommend getting your own performance blood work done before ever doing the practitioner dashboard if that's something that interests you. But this would be the forward facing view, your complete physiologic dashboard of your body, the individual parts of your body, every single individual part's given a grading analysis to provide context and ease of understanding for the client and yourself. What biomarkers you need to work on, the entire thing. All right. What we basically did as Vitality Coach is combine the best science in the world so that you're maximally confident in every decision that you make. Super easy to use, but also just has unlimited scale because it's not going to take any of your time. All right. No time, easy to use, maximum confidence, world-class science. All right. Thank you guys. I hope you found this educational and at least a little bit entertaining. I hope. And these are the main contact points to find me at.
Dan, thank you so much. What a great presentation. You guys, I think you just witnessed the world record for most words per minute at 900 live here at the DHA webinar series.
I got it. Good.
You got it, Dan. Dan, thank you so much. That was great. We have a couple really great questions that came in. So I'm going to jump right to the live questions. You guys, I don't think Dan mentioned. Because you registered for this webinar, Vitality is doing something special for anyone that registered, and they are offering a free 45-minute strategy call in case you want to check out the Vitality coach. So if you're not sure, just book in. I'm going to post the link here in a second in chat, but it's a free 45-minute call if you want to kind of poke around and talk to one of their experts on if this makes sense for you and if it would be a good add to your practice. First, Andrew, my first question is, can we see the golden retriever and how's your leg?
Golden Retriever is out for the count. But if you want to see
Out for
my
the
Golden
count.
Retriever, if you want to see my Golden Retriever, literally every day is in my Instagram stories. At Dan Garner Nutrition on Instagram. Lucy is my Golden Retriever. And I could post like the most scientifically cool thing that I think is cool. And then I'll post my dog once and it'll get more engagement. So,
Yep, goes
yeah.
viral.
Yeah.
Andrew asked, Dan, what are your thoughts or concerns with high dose fish oil aiming for 1 gram EPA and 1 gram of DHA daily?
I actually would not consider that high dose, so my thoughts will probably be very different than what you think. I target for my clients a 3 grams of combined EPA and DHA per day. So you're going after a 2 gram at the moment. As far as like actually hitting thresholds, mainly for cognition, you want to get to the 3 gram mark. That's the interpretation of the literature that I've had. 2 grams is quite good for cardiovascular health and kind of health metrics as a whole and lipid markers. But when you're actually moving into the world of performance and oxygen deliverability and cognition, you want to be at the 3 gram mark. So I would go up, not down.
Wow, beautiful. I need to take more fish oil.
Hmm.
Andrew also is asking, I'm just taking my shot right out of the gate. Dan, please, how can I intern under you? I need to learn more. You are the master.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
We got a big fan
You
here.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. People like him allow me to do what I love for a living, so
Yeah.
super grateful for it. You can intern under me when you figure out how to add more hours to the day. Because if I had more hours, I love your attitude and I love that. But right now, I am way too busy to take anybody on.
You guys,
Maybe when my head is above water for a minute.
it's true. I barely got Dan on this call today. It took months and months of begging.
Yeah.
Could you mention how many ultra athletes, CEOs, and other high performers, how many of those were in the performance ranges? Do you have the breakdown?
How many high performers from my own database are
Yeah,
within the
certainly.
ranges?
So as far as vitality goes, what's the breakdown of the performance ranges? Are they mostly one or the other, or can you explain that a little bit more in detail?
They're coming from not people anybody under 18. We don't work from anybody under 18, but a lot of people think I only work with men, but it's quite an even distribution of men and women, and the database is about 3,000 people in there, and also 3,000 individual people. That's not including their multiple lab readings, which is very important.
Mhm.
But
Perfect.
that's the database. That's not including what's scraped from the literature, which is
Exactly.
hundreds of
We have a
thousands.
couple
Yeah.
questions about the database. Um, Were confounding variables like medications, hormone replacements, injections, supplements, any blood affecting, performance affecting enhancers ruled out when you guys were deciding whose samples were accepted to inform the performance ranges and what they should be?
Yes, absolutely. And that's in our algorithm too. So
Wow.
when you go through and that's the person's intake form, like I've kind of said a few times here, what they tell me is as important as the blood work. So a lot of people don't know your analysis begins before you get your blood work. When you're filling out your questionnaire and the way you fill it out, you're actually tailoring how the analysis is going to go. Like if you prioritize gut health and cognition, your analysis is actually going to be interpreted that way. If it's male versus female, based on your age, based on what medications you're taking, how many hours of sleep, exercise per week, that whole questionnaire is impacting how the biomarkers are being viewed.
That's really great. It sounds like you're giving a lot of time back to these providers. Like you said, you love your job, but there are just certain parts, you guys, that you just don't need to do. It's kind of like checking 6 portals for your blood work, lab results, functional lab kitting testing versus, checking one, a DHA lab. It's the same thing where if you can bide your time and use your time really valuably, you can help serve more people. We're healing complex chronic illness. We are optimizing longevity through performance and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Tyler is asking, when is Canada having access to the full elite blood panel that the USA has access to? Tyler, I'm going to tell you right away. As a provider of DHA lab, you can order blood work, even if you're in Canada, even if you're ordering through DHA and on patients in Canada. So there is a workaround for it. It's going to take dry ice to bring back here. There are some labs that'll do the blood draw that we partner with across the line, and I'm sure Dan may have something to say about that too.
Yeah, so DHA does have that option. And then in that case, you could get that and then use our manual upload feature too. So that is one option. The manual upload is that's an option. I guess I should have gone through more services. I sort of just we've talked about performance ranges, but one
It's
of the
okay. It's
services
all
that
it's all about the call, you guys. Schedule for that call. Let me drop it in the chat right
right.
now.
Right. Yeah, that's where I can get a lot more specific on those things.
Mhm.
But one of the services that we offer is called manual upload, and that is whatever blood work you have, we basically just open up our software to you, so you can put whatever blood work you have into our software and get our interpretation from it. So that is one service that we offer. Now, with that said, I actually am already in talks with partnering with Dynacare. So I will call that lab out because we're very close to getting that deal done. So we should actually have a full partnership in Canada within the next month, and I'm super excited about that. As a Canadian myself, it's something that we really, really, really need.
That's great. Dynacare is actually who we use too at DHA Lab.
Oh,
So in the
nice.
meantime, you can order through us and we can try to partner with Dynalab or get that blood shipped back here. And then in 30 days time, it's just a direct shoot with Vitality. So either way, you guys are totally set up. Let's see. When it comes to vitamins, minerals, other supplementation that directly shift the levels when testing blood, is there a certain amount of time you would recommend people remain off supplements? So the blood tested reflects the last few to several months average versus, the example of B12 testing, reflecting and increasing the B12 for the next day.
Yeah. So you can take like 3 to 7 days off of supplements prior to your blood draw, and that will definitely help. But one thing that's interesting about measuring for micronutrients is it's actually more accurate to look at certain tissues and enzymes than to look at the micronutrient themselves. So, for example, alkaline phosphatase. Alkaline phosphatase, it uses zinc as a catalyst. So if alkaline phosphatase is an enzyme, zinc is what goes in to catalyze the effect of alkaline phosphatase. So alkaline phosphatase, when it is low, and certainly chronically low, one thing that something a lot of people mess up on labs is when you look at an enzyme in the blood, you're not measuring how many enzymes there are. You're measuring the activity of that enzyme. So when you start seeing low amount of alkaline phosphatase, that is correlated to a low amount of zinc because you're having no catalyst availability for the actual activity of that enzyme to take place. So, like looking at alkaline phosphatase in an enzyme to reflect zinc status, looking at AST and ALT for the same reasons to reflect B6 status. You can look at RDW to reflect a multitude of micronutrients in the body. Look at homocysteine to reflect B6, B9, B12. What I've seen a lot in the literature is trying to look at micronutrients in isolation is not as reliable as looking at the enzymes and tissues that rely on those micronutrients. The activities of those is really going to tell you if the body has it or not. When you try to look at it in isolation, that's when you start getting weird stuff. Like I've seen a million people with way crazy high vitamin B12, and a bunch of other things. And it's not always just due to supplementation. It's due to very poor measuring status. So I guess long roundabout way of saying you should take time off of supplements prior to a blood draw 1 week if you do want to be safe. But the truth of the matter is that I actually don't always look at that anyways. I'm looking at the tissues and enzymes and systems that rely on those micronutrients for optimal function to really gauge whether or not the body has it.
Great. Love that answer. Rohan is asking, do you have any plans to add other biomarkers with urine, saliva, and stool to the Vitality platform?
Absolutely do. Not in the near future. Something that I'm very passionate about. Although I'm the founder of Vitality, I've actually appointed myself as Chief Innovation Officer. So I'm actually head of innovation at Vitality. Dr. Andy Galpin's the Chief Science Officer. Thomas Iwasaki, he is the CEO of Vitality. So we have our people, and although I founded, I'm appointed myself in innovation. I've created an innovation roadmap. So every company has a company roadmap, but I'm placing the bets that we're placing at Vitality are having the best science in the world and the best innovation in the world. And that innovation roadmap is like, man, I can't wait to talk 900 words a minute about that one. I can't freaking wait. I'm telling you, I'm serious. I would let Lucy bite my feet all over again just to do that roadmap. But on that roadmap is new specimens. Yes, we are not leaving that behind, and that will be a part of the algorithm one day.
Good answer. This kind of relates. Kate is asking, do you check for high pyrroles before giving omega-3? The pyrrole is a urine test.
No, no, I do not.
He's not. Hey, Kate, if you were there for our ADHD webinar, I think Dr. Susan Delaney talks a teeny tiny bit about pyrroles and omega-3 supplementation. She does not recommend supplementing with omega-3s in kids with pyrrole disorder, kids specifically. And the reason why is that she and Dr. Wash found case after case after case, young kids did not do well with omega-3 supplementation. They did very well with omega-6 supplementation. They couldn't figure out why, but it's just some, known thing among their group. So I'm going to post the our webinars link, you guys, in the chat. So if you want to check out our past webinars, the ADHD one was the one that Susan Delaney talked about that with. Okay. Andrew, aside from taking notes on your Barbell Shrugged episodes, where else can we learn from you, Dan?
Um, Well, when you add more hours to the day, because I'm holding you accountable to that, because I want to be able to present my innovation roadmap to you sooner than later. You could also check out biomolecularathlete.com. I've got full education courses on there on nutrition, on training, on blood work. But more specific to this conversation, something I'm wildly proud of is Vitality Blueprint. So if you go to vitalityblueprint.com, we launched the world's first performance bloodwork encyclopedia. It was a massive, massive underhaul. If you printed this thing out, it's over 1,000 pages. It's completely insane. But I knew in order to like actually move the industry forward, you can't just like have ideas, meaning like you can't just say stuff and like pretend to be charismatic about it. Like you actually, an encyclopedia should be able to fulfill your thing if you get hit by a bus the next day. The encyclopedia holds the whole system and how it all connects. And we made that for free. That's 100% free. So you go to vitalityblueprint.com and check out the Performance Bloodwork Encyclopedia. Type in any biomarker, any pattern, any ratio, anything you want. It's all there and it's 100% for free.
Thanks, Dan. Andrew is already a member there and biomolecular, and he is really appreciative of your time today. And it looks like he is one step closer to getting more hours in your day so he can mentor with you.
Dude,
Kate's asking, what
if you
about, yeah,
hold
sorry.
on, one more for Andrew. If you ever want a way back throwback, I have a podcast. I don't even know if it's still around, but it was called The Garner Report. But I was very proud of those episodes, and the science would hold to this day. They're older. They're like from 2018, but there's over 100 episodes there if you want to go check them out.
He's all over those too. Okay, you
All
guys, we
right.
got to move away. He's in. He's
I
all the
love this
way
guy.
in.
I
I have a
love this
question,
guy.
Dan. Who are you following right now? Are there any leaders that you are absorbing their work? What podcasts are you listening to? Because maybe this is something that, others could benefit as well as Andrew.
Oh man. Um,
Dan,
well,
Dan is at the top of the chain, you guys. Nobody, just kidding. Anything?
I'm at the top of the boring chain though too. Like I literally read research. So like I don't have like a lot of exciting things to say.
Where are you getting your
I'm
research from? You know, give them the
I'm
good stuff. You're
well,
like
I'm lucky at
PubMed.
yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm lucky and I'm also fortunate to work with people I look up to. Like Dr. Anna Galpin, I think Dr. Tommy Wood is a phenomenal person to follow. Dr. Ben House, phenomenal person to follow. These are those are a few guys where I think uh, Joel Jameson is a great follow. Dr. John Berardi is a phenomenal follow. These are people who've impacted my viewpoints in many ways.
Kate's asking, what about Europe? Kate, we work with a lot of providers over in Europe too. You can order testing through DHA for patients residing in Europe, or if you're a provider residing in Europe, you can still order through us as well. If you are in Europe, are you able to use the Vitality platform? I assume it's going to be a very similar case, right, Dan?
Yeah, we're internationally friendly as far as the manual upload goes. So if you could source your own blood work, you can upload it to our software, and then you're good to go. But Katie and anybody else on this call, I would love you guys to help me. If I'm not available, like where you're at, and there is a something I need to know, then let me know because I'm looking to make things streamlined as much as I can in as many areas as I can. So just let us know on the 45-minute calls. That would be super beneficial.
Very cool, you guys. I love that, Dan. Question, can a woman in menopause increase testosterone naturally, or is it impossible to avoid without the hormone replacement?
No, you can absolutely increase your testosterone. Yeah, this is you can hormone balance is hormone balance no matter where you're at in your life. And there's a lot of things that you can do. I don't think that that is something that is impossible by any means.
Thanks, Dan. If you are working with a patient that has a budget when it comes to blood work being ordered, are there markers that you absolutely no questions asked always order, right? I heard you talked about magnesium, you talked about vitamin D, you talked about a couple others. Are those sound like they're top choices, but can you list off your preferred no questions asked? We need to look at these markers?
I mean, it's a long list because like I've got my standard panel and my elite panel at Vitality. But the standard panel is over 50 markers and the elite panel is over 100 markers. So it's just like when I'm working with someone and I want a full system view and I want to improve their performance, I don't really like to look at like a couple of things because what I want to do and what I'm like the ultimate goal is to do a root cause analysis. You want to identify why something is high or low and not just identify that it is high or low. Like for example, vitamin D, you use that as a example. Vitamin D is an acute phase reactant. So in the presence of inflammation, it can actually be low, even though it's not low in the body. It's an acute phase reactant. In the presence of inflammation in the moment, vitamin D will be pressed down. Vitamin D is also pressed down if the patient is under lead exposure. There's vitamin D. A lot of people forget vitamin D is important for heavy metal uptake. So, as a host defense mechanism, if you are exposed to lead, your body will reduce its own vitamin D so that you do not uptake more lead. So some people will like, okay, well, what if I've got low vitamin D and that's the only thing I tested, so I'm going to take a bunch more vitamin D. You could actually be overriding your body's own host defense mechanism that it intentionally put vitamin D. Like you're in Arizona, maybe there's a lot of people there with low vitamin D and not questioning it. Why is my vitamin D low even though I live in the freaking desert? There's actually a lot of reasons for that. Air pollution can lower vitamin D. Lead exposure can lower vitamin D, and inflammation can lower vitamin D. And there's the reverse things are true too. Certain gut bacteria can increase it. And there's a difference between 25 hydroxy and 125 hydroxy, as in inactive and active vitamin D. Like there's every single biomarker. Okay, vitamin D again. Sorry, I'm gonna keep going. In low magnesium status, you need magnesium to actually activate vitamin D. Also, same thing with glutathione. There's studies out there where NAC increases vitamin D status in the absence of vitamin D supplementation. NAC reliably increases vitamin D in the absence of vitamin D supplementation. And that's because they weren't low vitamin D, they were low glutathione. So like these examples go on and on and on and on. So like, are there key markers I'm after? Sure. But like I don't do that. I want more markers so I can actually identify why things are the way that they are. And when I can do that, that's when I've solved something at the root causal level and really improved that person's health.
Mhm. Dan, while you answer this next question, can you share your screen again and go to your last slide where you put your contact information and how to get in touch with you and Vitality? Someone's
Absolutely.
asking in the chat. Tabitha asks, how are you different than something like Function Labs? Tabitha, I think what you mean is Function Health.
Yeah, we're different in a lot of ways. Number one, our interpretation is significantly more robust. And I would actually put us against anybody. I don't think anybody has a more robust, over 20,000 calculations standing on the shoulders of over 5,000 scientific references, backed up by an entire encyclopedia of certainty. I don't think anybody is saying that. So the level of confidence in the interpretation and output is a 10 out of 10. We're not guessing. We know. That'd be number one. Number two difference is function. If function, what's function sells you basically is a clean bill of health in the sense that like you go there and you can get a great disease screen. You can actually go get a cancer screen. You can go get like all these like things to actually see if anything's wrong. But as far as actually performing better, improving your life and that kind of thing, that's where we're taking things to the next level by a long shot, giving you the actual targeted lifestyle, nutrition, and supplement therapies to like go from disease free to living your best life. That's where like the function health would pass the baton to us. And we've actually had a lot of people um, get their function health results and then put it through our manual upload to get our interpretation on their results. So that's kind of just goes to show you we're on a different level for interpretation and actually converting your results into a usable plan.
Michael has a question. Your
Okay.
critiques of organic acid testing and metabolomics testing reflection on nutrient deficiencies relative to blood
Right. Sure.
and white blood cell micronutrient testing relative to red blood cell micronutrient testing question mark.
Okay.
You
So the metabolomics and organic acid testing, micronutrient status, my interpretation of that is like it's incredibly and unbelievably not reliable. Looking at excretions to identify what's going on intracellularly is like looking at the exhaust of a car to try and figure out what's going on with the engine. It's not how it's done. There is a few that are like a kind of good methylmalonate being like at the top of the list for vitamin B12. Urinary methylmalonate for B12 status is actually quite reliable and quite good. Um, Looking at vitamin C in the urine as well also seems to be more reliable than not. But after that, you really start stretching. You just do. So like when I'm looking at metabolomics, so I'm looking at organic acids. Yeah, I can look at vitamin C and B12, and I'm gonna put some decision making into it, but I'm still going to want to further quantify with subjective symptom analysis. But honestly, as like an umbrella statement, it's very poor. When I'll be adding urine to, I'll say this: when I add urine to Vitality, will not be for micronutrients. I'll say that. Now, as far as using red blood cell and white blood cell, I believe he said for micronutrient status. Um, White blood cell, I do not believe is correlative of any micronutrients, at least in any reliable way. You could try to make some inferences. So zinc is important for immune system status, so maybe it's that. Vitamin C is important for immune system status, so maybe it's that. You'd be doing a bit of like a hopscotch. You'd be doing like saying like a hop, skip, and a jump, and that'd be. I don't think they're directly. They're probably directly in terms of clinical. It's important to kind of make sure you're always framing what I say in that sense. Like, I think that if you had critically low zinc, yeah, white blood cell is going to be low, but that's actually in the world of clinical outcomes and not performance outcomes. I would have caught that a million years earlier. Um, so I would say that that would be not a very good one to go on. If white blood cell is low, then you should have acted months ago. With red blood cell, on the other hand, that one is actually, I use that one quite a bit. I'll use, of course, the iron status of like hemoglobin and mean corpuscular hemoglobin concentration, mean corpuscular hemoglobin. These are all things, good indicators of iron status and oxygen deliverability and energy. And then you have your RDW, which again, I actually think RDW is quite reflective of all micronutrients within erythropoiesis. So looking at like a spectrum of B vitamins and even copper and zinc as well. Very good one. RDW is probably the king of red blood cell indices for looking at micronutrient status.
Another question about blood testing. If someone had an unusual night of very low sleep, would you wait a couple days to do the blood work?
For some markers, yes. For others, no. Like your testosterone, male or female, it's going to be incredibly low. Whereas your cortisol is probably going to be quite high. DHEA sulfate, even though it's a raw material for hormones, it's actually very sensitive to acute stress. So it'll also be really low. So
Mhm.
it'll be off. Sleep deprivation also increases inflammation. So your C-reactive protein might be higher than it otherwise would be, and then anything else that's an acute phase reactant might be pushed down. You get a lot of weird things going on, but others will be stable. So if the ones that you care about are stable, then you can go ahead and get your blood work done. But if you got really bad sleep, it's kind of like a write-off. It's not that good.
Hey, you guys, I'm gonna let Dan go. We really value his time. Everyone in the chat is saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Dan, we're so happy you joined us. We are honored to have you on DHA's webinar series. And again, friendly reminder, go check out Vitality Coach, you guys. It is a great platform for any provider. If you are optimizing performance, you're also, as Dan said, optimizing longevity. And that's what we all want, right? Doesn't matter if you specialize in complex chronic illness, mold, toxicity, etc., or you're building the best MMA fighter in the world. This platform is the platform for you. And that's where I'll end. Dan, thank you so much for being here. Everyone is loving the presentation.
Awesome. Thank you guys all so much for coming. You're a bunch of rock stars.
Thanks, Dan. Bye.
Yeah.